Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom.
Good morning, Bob. How are you today?
I'm in the dark a little. Sorry about that.
I see that you're in the dark. Are you also in the dark in your head or just in your space?
Could be both today.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Good.
Brightly lit office, can't you tell?
It looks the same as it always does.
Yeah, I guess you got the office that's cold and dark.
Yeah, that's it. I like it. So you have paid attention.
Were you doubting that?
No. For those of you trying to figure out what the joke is, Tom and I have been doing videos, and he does an introduction and I do the rest, and I do an introduction, he does the rest, and we flip-flop. And last week I noticed that he was in his polo shirt like he usually is, and I was cold where I was doing them. So I had a fleece on, and I had to explain to people that we were in different parts of the same building. Yes. That building being the state of Maryland or the mid-Atlantic region.
Or anywhere we want it to be.
That's right.
Although I guess
thank you for green screen backgrounds.
Correct. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, where we try to provide you with that one thing. We'll have a discussion around a topic. Today's topic, or this week's topic, is finding fault. It is finding fault. And today, that would be an interesting show. Let's just go around and find fault in anything and everything. That might be a good...
Isn't that what we do pretty much as humans anyway?
Well, it's interesting. A coach of mine has a great, and if I've told this story, you can stop me. Have you heard about the BMW?
No.
So, as you said, it's easy for us to find fault. And so one of the tricks my coach uses is if somebody's on there and it's like, woe is me and all of this, she'll be like, hold on a minute. I want you to get in the BMW and I'm going to let you drive it around the block for 5 minutes. And then we're going to move on. Okay. And the client says, sure, great. and then she would be like, now let me tell you what the BMW is. It is can I say this on the air? I guess I can. Bitch, moan, and whine. And so she says, I'm going to set the timer. You have 5 minutes. Let it out. I'm going to just sit here and complain, find fault, do all of that, be done, and then we're going to move forward. Then you're going to close the door, get out of that car, and move on to something else. And I thought that was a really interesting process to help people get it out of their system. Then you can be like, are you done? Okay, great. Now can we move on and stop finding fault?
I like that. I take the story a different way, though.
Okay.
We've done 440 episodes, I think, or 439 episodes. And if you would ask anyone that knew the two of us who would be the first one to use a off-color word, I would have been the candidate for every single person. And it was actually you. I'm so excited.
Is that really an off-color word?
I guess we'll find out when Apple...
Whether Apple allows it to stay on or not.
That's right. If they suddenly say we have to call our content explicit.
Correct.
Which might get a new audience. You never know.
Yeah, I'm not sure we want to head down that pathway, but
indeed.
Okay, it might be something to consider. So anyhow, our conversation this week is not us just finding fault in anything and everyone. It is about finding fault. And today our topic is going to be about in yourself. So we will get to that in a moment. And at the end of the show, we'll provide our one thing, the one antidote that we hope will help you today or somewhere down the road when you are struggling with this topic. If you are listening to this on the podcast, please feel free to share it with family and friends. And you can always rate the show.
5 stars, please.
because that helps us get the content out to more people who may be desperately looking for what we're saying. If you have something you'd like to share and you're watching it on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, please feel free to put it in the comments. And at the end, you can also share your one thing. So with all that being said, the first thing we always do, if you're brand new to the show, well, I guess it's not the first, it's the first official thing that we do, is celebrate. And what are you celebrating today, Bob?
I am celebrating flexibility. One of the 4 F's. Now, last week we talked about the 4 F's, right? The focus, flexibility, freedom, and fun.
Yes.
I am going to use flexibility the next couple of days because I have a guest with me at the beach, and I'm going to be playing some golf each afternoon. So I'm juggling my work and doing some manipulations. I got some things I got to do Saturday, but it's all good because I've got this flexibility. So I'm very excited. It's in the past, it's always been either or, work or play golf. And this year I've managed to make it so I do a little work in the morning and then play golf in the afternoon. So I'm way excited about that. That to me is one of the perks of what I built for myself.
Awesome. That's a great thing to celebrate.
How about you?
So I'm going to celebrate that. I was talking with 2 of our clients yesterday, 2 people who are going through the Find Success Your Renegade Way as a part of our office hours. You know, one of the things we offer for people who choose to go through that 6-week program is office hours with us, Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern time, as a chance to be like, if they're stuck on something, if they're struggling, that they can come and ask a question. And so we had a great discussion. And what was great about the discussion is that a lot of things that were great about the discussion. And it was great to see them finding success in taking the steps that this program walks them through and the value that they have seen in it. You know, I think that we always feel like, and I truly believe that whenever we share what is of value to us with others, that's all that matters. And I wholeheartedly believe that. I was actually having that discussion with some other people yesterday. And when others give you feedback, and their feedback was good, and it's been really good all along, not just like, oh, this is the most amazing thing ever. It was like, here's things that have really been helpful and why. Here's something that, wow, would be a great addition. If you could add this into it, that would be helpful as well. And they also, it wasn't yesterday, but shared that, yeah, that we had a little glitch in the video that got uploaded. So that
another one?
No. I was just sharing that they had told us this person had told us this in the past. So it was great it's always great to receive feedback, I guess is where I'm going. And so yesterday we received feedback. And I really try to not look at it as good or bad feedback. It's just feedback. And it gives us an opportunity to not judge it or get stuck in if it was not good, or, you know, get stuck in if it was really good and we're just like, oh yeah, it's the greatest thing. We don't need to make any adjustments. The opportunity to receive feedback from people is one that, if taken the right way, taken the real way, can be really beneficial. So that's what I'm celebrating today.
Nice. And I think to get feedback from people, you have to be open to feedback.
Absolutely.
You know, they dip their feet into it lightly and try to figure out if you're open to it. And then if you're open to it, they go a little deeper. And I think that's part of the feedback loop. You know, I talk to people sometimes like, well, did you ask for feedback from your customers on this? Oh, yeah. I went up to a customer and I said, how do you like this? I'm like, if you're confrontational, they're going to say, yes, they love it because they don't want to upset you.
Sure.
Hey, what could we improve this with? How could we make this more useful to you? They're like, well, if I ask them that, they're going to give me a whole bunch of suggestions and probably not even about this thing. And I'm like, and the downside of that would be what?
Sure.
Well, then I have to deal with it. Like, okay.
Just that feedback would be a really good topic. I have a client.
Maybe that's next week.
Maybe I've had a client that we've been talking a lot about feedback, receiving it, when we share it, and you know how we share it. I mean, there are lots of things about it that can be great and can go awry. And so I think that might be a good topic for next week.
We would have to bump the other things that we've built out for the next 3 months. but we could bump
Fair.
them out a week.
Yeah, we'd have to take a look at that,
We could figure it out, I think.
Sure. Well, before we celebrate or we hear what the nation is celebrating, I think we should celebrate this as well. Beth is sharing a good morning to all of us.
That's my sister.
Good morning to
Good
you,
to
Beth.
see you this morning.
Please
Welcome.
share what you're celebrating if you would like, Beth, in the comments. That would be great.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be great.
So,
And
Bob, what's the nation celebrating?
this is the worst one I've ever done.
Wait a minute. Time out. That sounds like you're finding fault in the organization because you're making a judgment on whether this is good or bad. And you've actually just declared it as the worst.
You ready, though?
I am.
It's National Deviled Eggs Day. Ugh. I
Well,
don't
that's-
like deviled eggs. I don't understand deviled eggs. It seems like a lot of work to make an egg. Why can't you just let it go?
Because you modify it, right? You take out the middle and you do something different with it. And I'm
Sorry, can you hear they're cutting grass behind me?
thought it was like an airplane flying overhead.
That's what it sounded like to me, too. Just dropping a C-140 right in the backyard.
There are clearly a lot of people who do like them. So just
Do you
because
like
that's
deviled
what-
eggs?
No. No.
They are one of the most polarizing things. You don't get anyone who says, yeah, I'll eat one. And it's either people would eat 100 of them or they wouldn't touch them.
Okay. So what's real for you today is you think that's the worst day to celebrate. Some other people might be like, oh my gosh, I love deviled eggs. They're awesome. And they're so, it's a neat little snack. And
To each his or her own.
Correct. There we go. So it's not to judge.
But I did find fault with National Deviled Eggs Day.
Yeah. And I would say that in the past I have as well. There have been some days when I've been like, wait, what? Come on.
Yeah.
Who would come up with that? So, all right. Somebody else agrees with you, Bob.
There you go.
They're
I like
not,
the yuck crowd.
They're not having the deviled eggs. All right, everyone. So now that Bob has given us a preview into tomorrow's conversation about finding fault in others, let's dive back into our topic for today. I have a feeling that you're going to want to go first on this, Bob. Do you want to share your thoughts on
that
finding?
was Pamela who said it was yuck.
Oh, awesome. Good to know. Thanks, Pamela, for sharing. So do you want to go first and talk a little bit about your thoughts around finding fault in ourselves?
I would love to, Tom, but I'm not sure we have enough time to get through all my my work. I think for people who are perfectionists, and I think I fall in that camp, I find it very easy to find fault in myself. My go-to, if one of my clients calls and says, call me back, I immediately go to the, I screwed up. Something's wrong. They're gonna fire me. It's going south. I knew this was, why did I start this business? What was I thinking? I mean, I can just, one little thing, and that's just me listening to a phone message or just a text saying, hey, can you call me? And 9 times out of 10, when I call them, they're like, hey, Bob, I have a quick question for you. Want your advice on this thing? Something really positive. But my mind automatically goes to the negative, and not just the negative, but the negative that is Bob. And I find in discussions, if you and I are having a discussion and something doesn't work the way it's supposed to, like when you said we had a glitch, I'm going through the list of all the things I could have glitched. Didn't even take a second to go, well, Tom does stuff too. I wonder if he did it. So I find it easy to blame myself for things that are real, but more alarming to me is how many times I blame myself for things that are not real or not my fault. In fact, we have a friend who now threatens to hit me every time I say I'm sorry. Because when you find fault with things, and fortunately I take blood thinners, and he's realized that if he did hit me once, I would bruise and be really bad. So we've talked about some other methodologies, but it's easy to blame myself. It's a go-to. And I think it's a protective way of avoiding putting myself out there. I don't know if I said anything useful there. I feel like I've got that cringy feeling I get when we coach Bob. So
Well, you have a feeling, is that leading into that you think that's what's coming?
no, I'm finding fault with my finding fault discussion, which is really exactly what's happening right now.
Man, that's going to chase us down a rabbit hole. Anyhow, well, I think it's interesting. You know, one of the first things you said was, I don't know if you said because, but you said that when you're a perfectionist like me. And that word struck me because I heard it yesterday as well. And it made me take pause and think about, like, well, what does a perfectionist mean? Like, how would you define perfectionist?
Expecting that I'm going to do everything perfectly. And I really do have that expectation. I do not expect to do anything wrong or make mistakes, even though I know deep down inside that's impractical and unrealistic. I really think in my head that I want to be perfect each day. And I'm not alone. I've talked to plenty of other people who are like, oh yeah, I get you. I totally understand. I strive to be perfect every day, and it drives me crazy the first mistake I make. And in a normal day, I make a fair number of good decisions and I make a fair number of mistakes. As I've matured, I think I've realized that the mistakes are where I actually learn the most. And I have to put myself out there to make mistakes. And if I'm constantly being worried about being perfect, I will not take steps. I will not act.
Have you ever had a perfect day? What are you, 54, 55?
I don't think I've had a perfect day. No.
Do you actually think it's possible to have a perfect day?
I don't know. And maybe it's perfect moments.
You actually think you can have a perfect moment?
If I hit a 200-yard ball from the fairway onto the green within 10 feet of the hole later today, I'm going to take a picture for you. That'll be a perfect day.
Didn't go in the hole. Just right? Is that correct?
Yes. It's just the emphasis you put on that.
A perfectionist would say, why didn't it go in the hole? Right? Is that correct?
Right. Yes. And I guess that's a modification of perfect. When I first started playing golf, if it didn't get in the hole, I was frustrated. Now, if it's on the green, that's perfect to me. So maybe my definition of perfect has broadened or given me more flexibility.
Even if you hit it to 10 feet.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that a perfectionist would say, nah, maybe I could have hit it to 6. If I'd have just this little adjustment, if it didn't hit the hill, it would have rolled further. If I didn't put so much backspin on it, it might have taken another hop and then bounced into the hole. Right. So I think one of the things is that I would imagine that if we all looked at anything and everything that we've ever done, that we couldn't stop and say, is there something that could have been done differently that would have made this even better, even more perfect? And I think in that thought process, what that does for me is say that I don't believe I can have a perfect action. I can believe sometimes I do things that turn out the way I really hoped. Sometimes they turn out the way, they turn out the way I didn't hope. They are all just actions that I get a chance to learn from. And say the ball went in the hole. What did you learn from that?
That I get lucky every now and then.
That you made a really good swing on the ball. The ball traveled. The wind didn't impact it. The green held it. And it just happened that it rolled the right way to go in the hole.
I want to add Troy's comment because I think he brings up a really good point. Worrying about being perfect comes from pride. Mistakes allow for improvement and humility. And I like that he's brought pride and humility into this discussion because there is a certain amount of pride and there is humility. And I think that's something I've had to learn as I get older. And also to recognize that I thought everyone expected or demanded me to be perfect. As I've gotten older and dealt with more mature thoughts and dealt with different people, I don't think they expect me to be perfect. I think they know I'm flawed, and they're more apt to explain to me how I can move forward when I'm really upset that I'm not perfect. I think you do that with me sometimes. I say something, you're like, whoa, hey, you're only focused on the negative here. What about the positive? What about this thing? Oh, shoot, you're right. And I think that's the other part of it is it's easy to find fault in yourself when you look at things and look at the one mistake you made. Well, I gave a great presentation, but I answered that question wrong. Or I spilled my water bottle, or I did a perfect sales pitch, except that they asked me one question and I said that we have a 6-year warranty, but it's really 9 months. And I can obsess on that one little thing much more than is necessary because to the person, to the other people in the room, it's a tiny, tiny thing. And I think that when I find fault in myself, I magnify the slightest flaw.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What would life be like if everything that you ever did was perfect?
Boring.
Fascinating. We're striving
To be bored.
to be in a place where we're bored. Interesting thought. Maybe the next time you think about being a perfectionist, think about that. Well, man, if I was a perfectionist at golf and every time I hit a shot, it went in the hole, I feel like this game's too easy. We need to do something different. And now you stop learning and you stop gaining and you started just, okay, I'm just going to keep doing this over and over and over until I'm bored. I'm like, yeah, enough of that. I'm going to do something different. And so I think that that's, one of those things that, I love the concept of chasing perfection. Just knowing that you're never going to catch it, which is okay. Because if you're trying to catch it, you're thinking of what is everything I can do differently to try to catch it. Knowing that, it's kind of like, I can't believe I'm bringing this up. Did you ever watch Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote?
Yeah.
How many times has Wile E. Coyote tried to catch the Roadrunner?
He's still trying.
Still trying. And he will still be trying forever and forever. Even though he's tried every product that Acme puts out to try to catch the Roadrunner, he can't do it.
Acme, the original Amazon, right?
I guess so, yeah. That's right. That's a good point. So I think that that's one of the things. And if we maybe to sort of bring this back around is that if we stop trying to be a perfectionist, chase doing the perfect presentation, trying to be the perfect boss, that it'll be easier to not find fault in others. It's so fascinating.
Let me bring another comment, from Troy in, because I think it's really relevant. People won't remember your perfection in a sales pitch, but they will remember how you make them feel they can relate to mistakes because it's being vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And I've had to learn that. I thought of mistakes and faults as weakness, but I've come to realize that they actually bring about strength in a relationship because it's, if you can say, hey, I'm sorry, I messed this up.
Don't say I'm sorry because somebody's going to punch you. So say, it just didn't work out the way I was trying to do it differently. And
thank you for bearing with me while I try to figure out the nuances of this.
Sure, of course. Well, I think that it is interesting. I mean, it's just fascinating sometimes how these shows, conversation
therapy sessions.
Well, there's that. No, just how things sort of happen oddly. Honestly, I was having this conversation with a client yesterday, and they were receiving some judgment from a new supervisor around, and they were really feeling like it was impacting them. And I just shared with them, well, what if you tried to turn it into an opportunity to learn? You have somebody who's new, who's making maybe snap judgments on how things have been done in the past. What if you just offered to them like, oh, yeah, I mean, maybe we could have, what do you think we could have done differently to have a different outcome? So now they get a chance to share whatever value they have, what's real for them, their past knowledge, experience, and perspective. And the person who is hearing that can also share some of the details of what happened and why that might have been the result that was that they had. I think it's a great opportunity for everybody to learn, to say, that's interesting that you think that way. What do you think we could have done differently? So this someone finding fault could be turned around into how do people find new opportunities or are provided new information that would change finding fault. It's just fascinating that I had that conversation just yesterday.
Well, it's fairly prevalent. I want to bring, Troy's been giving us so many great comments today. Thank you, Troy. How many times did Thomas Edison fail at making the light bulb? Quite a few. And then I also want to add from Troy, love this. Good stuff, guys. Really appreciate that. Love the feedback. Always makes this really so much more exciting to do when people give us that kind of feedback. So Absolutely. Thank you, Troy, for all your comments and your kind words.
So, Bob, what's your one thing?
I think it's what I've been working through in the last couple of years, to try to abandon the concept of being perfect and to admit that I will make mistakes, and that in admitting I make mistakes to both myself and to the other people, that actually forges a deeper relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I could not have gotten there 2 years ago. That was pretty. I may have to go back and listen to myself on that one.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think that it's, I think my thing is, and I think this is something that I have been able to do. Not always. I'm obviously not perfect at it because I don't believe in that. I think though that I've made a lot of strides in understanding I don't want perfection, because then I'm going to stop growing. And as you shared, we'll get bored. I welcome mistakes, don't want them to happen, or I welcome actions that don't turn out the way that I expected, not mistakes. What I love about them is I get a chance to learn. And my belief is that if we are always learning, we will never get bored. And we'll be more and more engaged in what we are doing and more excited about the things that we do and the actions that we take, that we are going to find the success that we desire quicker.
Nice. Wow. It got heavy on a Tuesday.
It's fall. It's coming to the end of the year. I'm sure as people are looking at they're looking at numbers, they're making judgments, they're looking at their goals, seeing what their progress is towards them. And as you get closer to the end of the year I can imagine over the next 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, there are going to be a lot of people finding fault in themselves as they try to make judgments on what happened this year. Why didn't I hit my numbers? Why did we lose so many employees? Why did our revenues go down? And the easy thing for them to do will be to say, I should have done this, could have done, would have done, all those things that don't help you move forward. They just keep you stuck in where you are. So with that, if you have one thing you'd like to share, today's antidote, please feel free to put it in the comments. Another place you could share it is inside our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. If you are not yet a member, it's easy to join. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades. And all you have to do is ask to join and tell us why you're a renegade. Now, why do you have to do that? Because it's a private group. Because we want to make sure that
I argued that it should be a public group, but Tom said, no, it's got to be private.
Okay. Yeah, because I wanted to just say that over and over and over and over and over and over and over 440 times. Well, maybe not that many times. So anyhow, we'd love to have you come a part of that group where we share conversations, additional comments like this. You can go in there and ask the groups like, hey, I'm really struggling with this. How can I reframe that I'm searching for perfection and find ways to learn actually from the actions that I've taken. It's a great way to help yourself get out of your space. It's interesting that a lot of your growth has happened in the last 18 months. Interesting.
Oh, I'm well aware. Yes.
When
I
you
know.
create community and you have conversations, things can definitely change. And you can find
And you also find people that you can emulate. You see how they deal with situations. I think that's one of the things, honestly, that Facebook group has done for me is I've gotten to know some of those people, and I strive to be more like them. And I see how they handle a situation, and it encourages me to try a different approach. So yeah, I think there definitely is a correlation there.
Absolutely. And I think if you are looking for a different approach, the Ringer Renegades Facebook group is a great place to do it. There is also another way, and Bob posted it in the comments. So for you in the podcast, I'll tell you a little bit about it. Is that we have a program? I mentioned it a little bit early that I was talking with some members of it. A 6 week Find Success the Renegade Way, and I believe that a lot of it is about helping us learn from the actions that we take each day so that we can move forward and maybe take different actions the next day or take actions differently so that we can stop finding fault, passing judgment, and start learning, growing, and figuring out how we can take our next step along our own unique pathway to success. And if you are at that point where you're looking at your numbers or your goals, or you're looking at what you've achieved over the year, and you are doing a lot of fault finding, this program I think can really help you make the next 6 weeks very as successful as they can be, and maybe as important, getting you set up that next year will be even better. So Bob has the link in the chat. If you are listening to the podcast, just go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com and go to programs, and you can scroll down and select Find Success the Renegade Way. And there's a really cool app.
We'll also put it in the show notes for you. See, there are show notes for the podcast, Tom. I don't know if you know this, but all the little, this is what it's about. Yeah. We can put it there so someone doesn't have to remember that while they're driving or running or whatever. They can actually go back to the episode and it'll be linked.
Perfect. So this is episode 440 in case you missed that. And we hope that you will check that information out if you think that would add value to where you are and what you're doing. So with that, thanks everybody for their comment. I wanted to put this in because I did ask Beth. I asked Beth what she was celebrating today, and she's shared it, which was kind of her. She says, I'm celebrating that her son Adam is going back to special ed classes after struggling for a month in a regular class. Congratulations. I think, I'm sure that people love having their kids at home, and at the same time, there's challenges that creates, and the opportunity to get some of the teaching that they have had in the past is, I'm sure, well worth a lot of celebrations. So congratulations. Indeed. And what a great thing to celebrate, Beth. Thank you for sharing that.
That's my nephew, Adam. So very excited for him, who believes that Lamar Jackson should be in the Hall of Fame already.
Already?
Wow. Oh, yeah. He's that good.
Well, that's what's real for him. So good for him.
Should have seen when I told him it's 5 years after they retire before they can be entered in the Hall of Fame. That kind of deflated his
way to ruin it for him.
I did.
You could have just let him keep thinking, he's going to get in any day now. Now he'd be like, well, why do I care? Now I have to put it on. Anyhow. Well, everyone, thanks so much for all of you who commented during the show. We love that. We appreciate your thoughts and ideas because that's the value that you are sharing. And we know that there are people out there who heard what you shared, and it made a significant impact on them. So thank you for being a part of our show today. And we look forward to seeing you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, or we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. It's worth it.
Ooh, a little twist. Nice.
I like it.
All right. We'll see you soon, everyone. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.